What's up, you guys? I'm Charmx. Today I'm gonna be reacting to things about relationships I wish someone told me about by Jaiden Animations. Now, I freaking love Jaiden Animations, and judging from the title of this, it sounds as if Jaiden Animations is now in a relationship. At least it sounds like that. I don't know if it is, but anyway, with that being said, I hope this will be quite interesting. The original link's in the description. Without any further ado, let's begin.
People are so complicated that most of us don't even understand our feelings and thoughts half the time. Yet, here we are, 7.5 billion of us stuck on this rock, having to interact with each other, everyone with different goals and values and beliefs, and we all gotta try and get along. And also,
it doesn't go over that well.
some people have knives and no emotional reaction to murder. But that's not the point. When I say relationships, I'm talking about any type of interaction between people. Friends, family, colleagues, when you do
Alright, so I guess Jaiden is not in a relationship, as I thought prior.
kisses with someone. Red flags are a term that everyone's familiar with. That person cheats on everyone they've been with, red flag. That person only uses people for their personal benefit, red
flag.
That person doesn't wipe off the knife after spreading butter on toast, and when they go for more butter, little crumbs get stuck in the tub.
Red flag.
Red flag! But what about red flags that only start revealing themselves once you've built trust with someone and have a connection with? When your opinion of someone is positive, those flags can start being overlooked, or you start saying, oh, but they're a good person. I trust them. Oh, I mean, they wouldn't want to hurt me on purpose. It's easy to rationalize warnings.
Well, that right there, showing the people play video games, getting angry, like, I'm like that. Video games trigger me to get so mad, because they're so freaking difficult. And I'm such an idiot that, you know, you mix the two together, and it's not pleasant. So I'm kind of like that, where I don't know if I'd say it's a red flag, but like, video games just, oh, whoo, they get me riled up.
Signs of a bad relationship when you have a positive view of someone, but it doesn't mean that they're not there or should be ignored. They're still being a jerk. It's just complicated by your history together. I think the majority of people tend to be too nice or passive or overly understanding.
I think that's because most people don't like to be the asshole, or don't know how to handle the situation differently.
It's really common and easy to do. Because of that, toxic relationships are much more prevalent than you'd realize, and it can be difficult to know what to look for. There's a chance you're in a hurtful relationship right now and don't even realize it. The term manipulation gets thrown around a lot, and because of that, I think a lot of people would feel they would be able to identify manipulation if it happened to themselves. But it's not as easy as, Chad and Sally are dating. Sally wants to go out with friends. Chad forces Sally to stay home with him. Chad's a manipulator! That's actually a super common
Get him! Yeah, a lot of people I find are manipulated and they don't even know it. You know, if you have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or whatever, they can manipulate you emotionally and you not really know it, you know? And you see that a lot.
Manipulative situation. But the way manipulation works is that it builds up slowly over time and is almost entirely emotional. Chad might instead start isolating Sally from her friends by nitpicking things he doesn't like about an individual person at a time. I don't like how Nick talks to a lot of girls. That's kind of weird. Don't you think Dawn drinks too much? That's not too responsible of her. Little implants like that can make Sally view her friends not as highly one by one and start trusting Chad more, which means he has much more control over her thoughts and emotions. You still might think,
well, I think, you know, when you get into a relationship, this is, I don't even know if this is, it's kind of relevant, I guess. But, you know, when you get into a relationship, I think statistically you lose a few friends from that. I think it's just statistics that you will lose friends for being in a relationship just because you're now with this person as a relationship, as a partner, and you know, you're with them, so you don't really have time to hang out with your other friends. And that's what I've noticed, definitely for me. Although I'm not in a relationship at the moment, you know, my friends who have recently gotten into them, you know, I don't hang out with them that much anymore. And it's understandable because, you know, you only have a certain amount of time in the day. A portion of the day you gotta work, a portion of the day you gotta spend with friends and family, and if, you know, you're not gonna choose a friend over someone who might be your future spouse, right? Like, obviously you're gonna choose a spouse, so it makes sense.
that's easy to see through, and some people are better at picking up on warning flags than others. I think it's important to keep in mind that everything in real life is much more humanized than when we talk about them. For example, we're raised to believe that drugs are awful. It's pretty much brainwashed into us. You're at a party, the lights are blaring, and someone comes up to you and goes, "Hey kid, wanna do a drug?" Time. The cigarette is glowing with evil energy. You look
A bruh moment.
up, and all of a sudden they've grown horns and fangs, and oh my god,
No, that's the bruh moment. Bruh.
it's Satan! No, that's not what happens. Realistically, you'd be at a small get-together with close friends. You've had a nice night with them so far, laughing and having a good time just like normal. One of them just takes out a little sandwich baggie and is like, hey, I've got Coke. There's no time slow-mo or siren.
Nani? What? It's kind of a shocker if a friend just does that and you didn't really know them to be that kind of person. Wouldn't that kind of just kind of shock you?
It's a completely normal feeling situation, and all of a sudden your brain is confused. Drugs are bad, but this is my friend. We've known each other since 5th grade. He's just a normal dude. He's not bad. Are my other friends gonna do it?
See, this is why I prefer to have no friends.
Your brain thinks of any excuse it can to rationalize behavior from people you trust or think highly of, which applies to relationships. It can be difficult, but you need to define how people should treat you and respect yourself enough to not let people maneuver you into bad situations. Emotionally abusive and manipulative relationships are super freaking common, and it's tricky because
Oh yeah, they're common. Most abusive relationships, as in terms of physical, also have a side of mental with them. That's why the partner, whether it be male or female, decides to stick with that person even though they know they should leave. There's also a mental side where they feel as if, oh, it was my fault because of, you know, whatever reason, even though it's not their fault.
Because they jostle with your head feels and can make you feel like a squashed fly on a window. Stuck, powerless, sad, if fly corpses even feel sad. I mean, I guess they're just dead. Emotional blackmail is a way to control or manipulate someone by using guilt, fear, and obligation against them. Is someone passive-aggressive, overly controlling? Do they use threats like, do this or I'll hurt you? Or even, do this or I'll hurt myself?
I can't stand people who do that. People who put their problems on you and expect you to cater to their every whim and try to make them happy over the threat of injuring themselves.
That leads to another difficult situation. If someone ever belittles themselves, I'm pathetic. You should just leave me. I'm gonna hurt myself. It puts you in a complicated position because it can feel like there's a responsibility to provide this person with whatever they need because obviously you care about them and you don't want them to feel this way or even do something bad to themselves. But this is a hard pill you've gotta just swallow. You are not personally responsible for anyone's happiness.
Yes! Oh my goodness, it's really accurate. I've been in some situations like that where, you know, I've talked to people who expect me to cater to their happiness or whatever. And that's freaking annoying. Like, you know, you want to not have friends? That's how you do it.
But they've got really bad self-esteem, and I'm worried that not responsible for anyone's happiness. But they're really depressed and can't help it, so I feel like if I just not responsible for anyone's happiness.
I love the animation in this, side note. Like, compared to normal, seems like it's animated and a lot more, like, fluid feeling compared to normal.
But I'm Santa Claus. Alright, gray area. Responsibility shouldn't be assigned to you, even if it breaks your heart to step back. People normally aren't equipped to be able to help someone with their issues anyway, so it's best to encourage them to see a professional who's been trained to know how to handle things. Someone might-
So true, it's so true. Recently, someone I know quite closely opened up to me about some stuff that happened when they were younger. It is some dark stuff. I'm not a freaking therapist. I think you need to see a therapist. Someone that actually knows how to work through these situations.
Might be struggling with their own personal stuff, but mental illness doesn't negate their responsibility to maintain a healthy relationship. It just means they need to work on themselves, which is okay. But you don't need to be a part of that. You've got your own junk, they've got their junk. You
Exactly.
decide how much of their junk you want to help with. Don't let them forcefully shove their junk on you.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Friggin' goes so well with what I was just saying.
Communication is the most important way to know if you can work on fixing the relationship or need to cut it. Hey dude, can you stop dumping toxic waste into my ocean? You've been doing it for a while and all my cute little dolphins are dying. Oh geez, I didn't even realize I was hurting them. I'm sorry.
It's so true. It's so true.
That there's a problem, but the person takes full responsibility and is willing to work on getting better. But if they say, look, how was I supposed to know? I was just trying to help. Why are you being so sensitive? That's toxic as shit. Shifting blame.
She said a bad word. But yeah, it's so true. It's so true. If there's a person in your life that's being really toxic, it's best to, you know, try to, like... I like to be a nice person, but I have a short temper too, and, you know, so I'll try to help you work through your problems or whatever. But it's not my freaking responsibility to work through your problems. It's your responsibility. And if you're in my life being really toxic, I might give some pointers, try to help you out a little bit. But if it's just constant negativity coming from you, we got to address this situation, son.
Gaslighting, guilt tripping, catch this deportation. Let them know how they're affecting you, set boundaries on how much you can give, and make sure you both have your own support systems so you don't have to just rely on each other. If things don't change, look at your behaviors as well. Do you feel like you need to justify or explain their actions too much? Do other people you trust not like them? People can get stuck accidentally blaming themselves or over-rationalizing things that are just not right in the first place.
Yeah, that's most bad relationships.
And don't forget that you can also be doing things wrong too. Self-reflect a bit. Verbalize your feelings. Ask yourself, am I being an asshole? Why are you doing things? Out of spite, anger, jealousy? It's tough to admit your faults, but it's more important to be 100% real and brutally honest with yourself if you're gonna maintain a 100% real relationship.
Yeah, it's important to be real with yourself, you know? It's important to realize your faults and your shortcomings. And, you know, are you being an a-hole or are you not being an a-hole? If someone calls you an a-hole, but you've been dealing with their crap for so long, you never say anything at all, and then all of a sudden you snap, then, I mean, although I understand why you would snap, it's also your fault because you never mentioned your issues you had before. And so now it makes it look like you have, you know, problems because you just snap out of, you know, for no reason, basically. Or at least to them, it seems like no reason.
People who manipulate most often don't realize they're being manipulative. No one wakes up and is like, haha, I'm gonna be super manipulative today. It takes a lot to break off any sort of relationship because it can feel like a defeat or like you've given up. But sometimes that's just straight up the best and healthiest solution for both of you. Two people can be great, but just not mix well together.
Just like peanut butter and gravy. They taste good individually, but not together.
And if you feel like leaving is dangerous for either you or them, ironically, that's a pretty strong reason to leave in the first place. Someone shouldn't ever need you. They should
Exactly.
want you. Your ecosystem should be able to sustain itself, and relationships are just the little sprinkles of fertilizer benefit for it. If you feel like you're not strong enough to break something off, a good way to work on that is to build confidence. Build a good support system, journal your thoughts, practice positive self-talk.
I am a god.
Alright, now
Yeah, I think Kanye practices a little bit too much.
that positive. Treat yourself as a friend. It's not selfish to want the best for yourself, especially when someone's over here being a happiness vampire. When you break something off with someone, remember why things didn't work. Repeat it in your head if you need to. A lot of people try and rekindle relationships when the initial problem hasn't been fixed. People need time to change. You don't owe someone a second chance if they haven't put in the work to fix anything. And you can't force someone to get help. If you're unsure,
yeah, you can't force someone to get help. You see that all the time. You see that all the time. Where people try to force other people, you know, to get help, like loved ones and whatnot. But, you know, people aren't gonna change unless they're the ones who make the decision to change. Like, you know, when I used to weigh a lot more, I would, like, binge eat pretty badly. I still kind of do now, but I managed to control it a lot more. But back then, I just got so fed up with the way I was behaving and the way I would eat and whatnot that I finally snapped. And that's what caused me to lose, the weight I did. And I think with a lot of people, it's like that, where you have to be the one who finally snaps and then says, oh, I've got to change. Because you can have people telling you to change, but if you were the one who says, oh, I'm fine, or whatever, you're not going to change. You have to be willing. You have to be the one who makes a decision.
about a relationship, think about these questions. Do you put off seeing or responding to them? Do you feel worse after spending time with them? Have they threatened you or themselves in any way? Do they make you feel like you can't do things on your own, or you can't make a single decision without them? Do they ask for a lot of favors or money and don't pay it back? Do they talk badly behind your back? Do you feel like you're walking on eggshells around them? Do they put you down? If it's a yes to more than one of those, then you should start considering either ending it or try to communicate and resolve the problems.
Communication is very important in all relationships. It makes problems go away much faster. I mean, to an extent. It can also be damaging expressing certain emotions. For example, if you're a toxic person, or a person who has very negative feelings towards someone, expressing those feelings may not be the best decision.
Big thanks. To my friend Katie Morton for helping me out with writing this video. I wanted to make sure I didn't say anything inaccurate, and she's a licensed specialist with this type of stuff.
Katie Morton. Isn't she the one who was in that Shane Dawson documentary?
And I trust her a lot. Of course, I hope you're able to take this advice and interpret it to situations in your own way.
Yeah, I actually thought this was a really good video. Not what I was thinking it was going to be about, though. Like, I thought it was going to be just advice about, like, personal relationships or whatever from Jaiden, which it kind of is, but it was a lot more than that, I guess. And I actually really like this a lot. I hope you guys did as well. And I think out of a Jaiden Animations video, I'd rate this like maybe like a 7.6 out of 10. I mean, it wasn't the funniest Jaiden Animations video because Jaiden Animations can be quite funny, but it was like a really well put together video and it was really well thought out. It had some really good messages in it too. But yeah, anyway, with that being said, if you guys like this, make sure you give it a thumbs up if you're new and subscribe to the family. Also, make sure you guys go subscribe to Jaiden Animations, that link's in the description, as well as Katie Morton, that link's in the description as well. And yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Boop.